Hey guys, welcome to Techie Madvi. Today we are going to talk about constraints in SQL. First we will cover not null, check, default, unique key, primary key and foreign key constraints. Then we will have a quick look at the insert, update, delete and select query with examples. We will also understand the difference between delete, truncate and drop queries. To delete a single record from a table, to delete all the records from a database table and to delete an entire table from the database. Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about constraints in SQL. So we are going to look at not null, where the value cannot be null or empty. We have unique, the value has to be unique. Then the primary key is a combination of not null and unique key. Foreign key is like a primary key reference to another table for relational database. So one table holds reference to another table. Then we have check, used for checking a condition. Default is used to add a value in case a value is not provided while inserting the records. Let's understand this with an example. We will create a table employee details. So create table employee details. We will add a column employee ID of type integer, employee name, so varchar with a length of 200, and next column is employee date of joining. The data type here is date, and employee PAN number, it will be an alphanumeric string, so we will define it as a character of fixed length 10. Then we have employee age of type integer. Next, now we will use our constraints. So for employee name, as we know that the name of an employee cannot be null, so we will add not null to employee name. Now let's use the unique constant. The employee PAN number is a 10-digit alphanumeric string, so each employee will have a unique PAN number, so we will add unique constant to the employee PAN number. Now the employee ID will be a unique identifier, so it cannot be null and it has to be unique, so we will add primary key constant to the employee ID. So first, the employee age cannot be null, so we will add not null. Also, we want to put a condition that the age of an employee has to be over 18 years, so we will add check constant as employee age is greater than 18. The default constant, if the value is not provided, then we will add get date, which is an inbuilt SQL function. So by default today's date will be added. Let's run this query, and query has been successfully run. Let us write select star from employee details to check the table data, and we can see that the table is successfully created with all columns. We will now insert some values into the database table employee details. So insert into employee details, let's write the column names, employee ID, employee name, employee age, employee date of joining, and employee PAN. We will insert some values. Let's employee ID as 1, employee name as Lalit, employee age as 25, and in the date of joining we will use get date to get default date. For PAN number we will enter 10-digit alphanumeric string. Okay, let's run this insert query. All right, execution successful. Now let us run the select star from employee details again, and as we can see, we have successfully inserted one record into the database table. Now try to run the same insert query again, and if you see, we get an error, violation of primary key constant. So the primary key is the employee ID. It's not null, but it has to be unique. A record with employee ID 1 already exists in the table, so we have to change it. Let's make it 2. Now try to run the query again, and we get another error, violation of unique key. So we have specified PAN number as a unique key, but we passed the same value, so we will modify the value and now run the query again. Successful. So our constraint check has passed, and we can see there are two records in the table. The employee name and age and date of joining is same, but the employee ID and the PAN number is different because these are the unique values. Now let's insert another value. em- Employee name as Ram, age is 17, and let's try to run the query. Primary key, oh yeah, let us first modify the primary key to 3. Run the query again, and we get, oh, again we have the PAN number error. Let's modify that. Run the insert query. We get an error with the check constraint. For employee age, we added that the age has to be above 18 years. So now we will modify the age and run the insert query again. And now we have successfully run the insert query, and third record, employee name Ram, age 19, has been added to the database. Now let's try to insert one more record, and let's not pass the employee name value. Let's run this query, and as you can see, the column employee name cannot be null because we have specified not null for the employee name. So we must pass the employee name value. So we will write it again. We will add Geeta in the employee name, and now we will remove the employee date of joining. For the employee date of joining, we have specified to use today's date as default if no value is passed. So here we will remove the employee date of joining column and the value, and run this query, and successful. As you can see, yeah, we have one more record, Geeta, employee age 20, and the date was taken by default as we have specified the same in the create table query. So far we have seen not null, unique, primary key, check, and default constants. Now we will move on to foreign key. So for foreign key, as the name specifies, it is used for relation between two tables. So we have employee details table, and we need one more table, and we are going to relate the data between the two tables. So let's create a new table called employee projects, which will have the details about the project that an employee is working, and it will be mapped with employee ID as an identifier. Create table employee projects, project ID as integer, and we will define it as a primary. Remember, primary key is not null and unique. Now we want project name, so varchar 200 and not null. Yep. Now let's add a third parameter, which will be our foreign key, and we are going to reference it back to the employee details table. So the primary key of employee details table is employee ID. So we are going to use employee ID. So as it is going to be a unique key. So employee ID foreign key references employee details, and in bracket we will pass the column name, that is employee ID, from the employee details table, and also add on delete cascade. I will explain the on delete cascade part later in the video. Let's run this query, and a new table is successfully created. Let's run select query on employee projects, and as we can see, the table is empty right now. And okay, let's run the select star from employee details again, and as we can see, we have 4 records in the employee details table. So we want to assign these employees to a project, and for that we are going to add new values in the employee projects table, and we are going to assign these employees to a new project. So insert into employee projects, we have project ID, project name, and employee ID, and we will pass values. For project ID, we are just going to initialize it to project ID 1, and project name we will write as SQL foreign key, and employee ID as 1. So we are going to assign this project to the employee ID 1. Let's run this query and see the result. Now we have one record in the employee projects table. So let's run this query. Select star from employee details, comma, employee projects. So as you can see here, we have all the columns from all the data from both tables. And here this is just a raw view. There is no relation between this data here. Okay. So I just wanted to show you how that the data is available, and we have to filter. We need to filter out this data by using proper conditions. So we are going to write a join query. So let's write select employee ID, employee name, employee age, and employee date of joining, and employee PAN from employee details, and left join employee projects on. So here we are specifying the join condition, the columns that are related to each other. So employee details dot employee ID is equal to employee projects dot employee ID. So match the values between two tables based on the employee ID. Simple as that. Let me optimize this query a little. We will use aliases for the table names, employee details ed, and employee projects ep. So let me modify the references here. Okay, all these columns from the employee details ed table, and also modify. Okay, so, and in the results we also want a project name column with the project that an employee is working. Let's run this query, and as you can see in the pane below, in the results pane below, we have 4 records from the employee details table, and on the right side we just have one column, that is project name, and it's from the employee projects table. Only the first row with employee ID 1, it's showing the project name because it is the only match that was found based on the employee ID, and other values on the right side under the project name column are empty. So further we can use a where condition where employee ID is equal to 1. So that way, so now we can see employee details and the project name the employee is working on for employee ID 1. So now we have seen how the foreign keys work. But if you remember, while adding the foreign key constraint, we added some part called on delete cascade. So let's use that now. So let us understand what it does. So let us write another insert query. Insert into employee projects, project ID, project name, employee ID, and let's pass the value for employee ID 2 and project ID is 2. So let's run that query, and it is successfully created. Now I will run the left join query again without passing the employee ID. So you will see now we have project name assigned to employee ID 1 and project name assigned to employee ID 2. Okay, employee ID 3 and 4 do not have any projects assigned. So that is why in project name column we have null values on the right side. So if we delete employee details for employee ID 2, it will automatically delete the project assigned to that employee. So let's write delete from employee details where employee ID is equal to 2. Let's run this query. As you can see, employee projects table has one value. Employee details table has 3 values only. So when we deleted employee details for employee ID 2, the reference record inside the employee projects table for employee ID 2 was also automatically deleted. By running the join query, we can see only 3 records available in employee details and 1 record in the projects table. Let's have a quick look at the update query. So we can update the values inside a table by using the update query. So let's write the update query. Update, we have to specify the table name, employee details, set. To set the new values, we have to use the set keyword, and employee name is equal to Ram Sharma. So we are going to modify the employee name from Ram to Ram Sharma. Now we have to specify a condition. So because we have to modify the value for employee ID 3, so we will use a condition where employee ID is equal to 3. Let's run this query and successful. Let's run the select query and you can see that the employee ID 3 has a new value Ram Sharma. Let's write another update query. Set employee name is equal to Geeta Manju and employee age, where the employee ID is equal to 4, employee age is equal to 21. Let's run this query, successful, and run the select query, and you can see we have modified two values inside a record at the same time, so we can update multiple values. So you can play around and update multiple columns and multiple rows just by playing with the where conditions that we pass. First, we will set up an employee table by inserting 3 records into the table. Let us understand the difference between delete, drop, and truncate. Let us run select star from employee to see records inside the employee table. As we can see, the employee table is empty. Now we will insert some records inside the employee table. So let's write insert into employee values employee ID as 1, name of the employee John. Then for the date of joining, we will use default date by using the inbuilt function getDate, and the department is IT. Now we want to insert multiple values, so we can do that just by adding multiple set of values separated by commas. So let me copy and modify these values. Becca and Ryan, change the department for Becca to CS and change the employee IDs as it is the primary key. Let's run this query. Now run select query. As you can see, we have total 3 values now. Employee ID 1 John, 2 is Becca, and 3 is Ryan. Now let us first start with delete query. Okay, so delete from employee where employee ID is equal to 1. This will delete only one record who has the employee ID 1. Let's run the delete query. Okay, successful, and let's run the select star from employee query again. The record with employee ID 1 has been deleted, and now we have two values inside the employee table. Now let us use the truncate query to delete all the records from the employee table. So we can write truncate table employee. Let's run the truncate query. It's successfully executed, and run the select query again. As you can see, we have deleted all the records, but the table still exists in the database. Only all the records have been deleted. Now we will run drop query to delete the entire table from database. Drop table employee. Let's run this query. Now I'm trying to select star from employee, but it is not showing any results and giving me error saying invalid object name employee. So as you can see in the Explorer that the database company does not have the employee table anymore. So now we have seen the difference between delete, truncate and drop.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button.